clothes off? Thank you, miss. You don't want to see that, trust me. It's veiny.
He's so fat he has to be cut out of his clothes, actually.
It's true.
Someone asked me to whip out my dick earlier.
Did they?
Yeah.
Did you do it?
He did it. I saw it. He did it.
Yeah. Maybe we skip story time with Paul and just have Ben whip his dick out.
What? It's not easy. Oh, fine. I guess someone calls when they want. Whatever.
Dicks out from around, man.
So one time I LARPed. I can hear that most of you know what that is and you respond appropriately. But for those of you that have never heard of it, let me explain real quick. LARP stands for Live Action Role Playing. Yeah. And it's basically like D&D, but instead of like rolling the dice and going like, oh yeah, 10 points of damage, you're actually there. And you are that character. And the reason that I LARPed was I was in high school, and I had this friend named Mike who I really looked up to. He's a couple years ahead of me, and he told me that there was going to be this my first boyfriend. Fuck you, TJ. It's true. He told me he was going to be LARPing, and he explained to me what it was, and then he sold me on the LARP.
God damn it, Paul.
Like being in the studio.
Do it right.
Fucking thing sucks.
Do it right, Paul.
Oh, thank you. That's much better. Thank you, engineer TJ. Ooh.
Okay.
So anyway, he sold me on it by telling me that there were going to be a lot of hot goth girls there. He was like, dude, it's a vampire LARP. Like, you get to be a vampire, and there's going to be a bunch of hot vampire chicks there. Win-win. I was like, fucking sign me up. So he hands me this booklet, tells me I have to create a character, and there's a bunch of different tribes of vampires in this LARP. And I gravitate towards the ugly ones. They were the Nosferatu, which meant, you know, if you've ever seen the movie, they just look awful. You know, and I was like, I want to be that. And he's like, don't be that. Be anything but that. Pick anything else in the book but that. And I was like, no, that's what I want. So he helps me create a character. I'm excited because I think I'm going to be swimming in like goth poon. And at this age, I didn't even
suck on them Dracula.
Yeah.
Paul, you're fucking delusional, dude.
Like, my whole fantasy began and ended at a girl with spiderweb fishnets. That was it. That's all I wanted. I didn't get it though. No spoiler intended. So we pull up to this mansion, and that becomes worthwhile later, but not now. We pull up to this big mansion. And it's one of those places where you have to have a code to get in the gate, and then you go in, there's a big long driveway and a fucking fountain in the middle of it, and I'm like, where are we? Like, what is this? It's like, this is where we do the LARP. It's like, oh. So we walk up to the door, and once again, I'm expecting like Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, to answer the fucking door. And it's this little dude. And he's wearing this jewelry. And I know you guys know what kind of jewelry I'm talking about. It's a bracelet, but it also goes around your finger. It's all hooked together. And he does this. He goes, oh, you. And he points at my friend Mike, who had done this before. You I have seen before, but this one. This is a new vampire. And I'm like, fuck me. What have I gotten myself into? So it didn't get better from there. I walk in there, and my hopes of like a hot goth chick are instantly shot to shit, because it's at least 95-5 men, women.
Go figure.
And the 5% of women that are there already have a vampire courting them. Like, I walk up, and there's already a dude there like, oh, my princess of the dark, come to me. Let me taste of your sanguine liquid, come. And I'm like, fuck, how do I...
Paul, you got no game, dude. You got no game.
So I gave up early on in getting any poontang. So I thought, I may as well make this interesting, let me see what people are talking about. But the problem with vampires, as I learned that night, is that they're a very secretive group. I would walk over to a group of people that seemed to be having a jovial conversation, and I'd walk up, and instantly everybody'd be quiet. And they'd look at me like, who is this one? Perhaps we should move elsewhere with our conversation. And I'm like, fuck, so I'm not going to get laid. I can't listen to what anybody else is saying. What fucking kind of game is this?
You picked the wrong fucking plan, dude.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Did you have like a sign
This guy knows where the story is going.
Who knows? Spoilers.
So, about halfway through the night, my friend Mike, who brought me to this fucking debacle, comes up to me and says, you know you can go invisible, right? And I was like, what? I can fucking go invisible? He's like, yeah. All you've got to do to show people that you are not visible is to hold up this. And I shit you not, it's the fucking... Like, those of you that weren't around in the 90s are probably like, oh, okay, whatever. But this is like, back in the 90s, it's like, loser. And I'm like, I gotta fucking... This means I'm invisible? He's like, yeah.
It's kind of like high school.
Kinda, I guess, yeah. It's true. So... now I know I can go invisible, and people don't know what the fuck to do. Right? Because now I walk up, and they can't go like, oh, who is this one? Because I'm fucking invisible. I'm like, yeah. You gotta keep talking, bitches. You don't know I'm here. So I'm generally just shutting this whole party down. Like the inside, nobody's talking about anything. Everybody wonders, like I'd walk up to a group of people and they'd be in the middle of like a plot, and they'd be like, I'd walk up and they'd be like, can I keep talking? And one of them would be like, it's invisible, I think you have to. So, but eventually people just stopped talking. But I noticed through one of the windows in this mansion that everybody had moved outside. There was smoking going on out there and conversation. I was like, fuck, that's where I need to be. Out front, smoking a cigarette, listening to all the juicy vampire gossip. So I think I'm pretty fucking smart. I walk out there, I open the door, I walk up to a group of people, I pull a cigarette out, light it up, and I'm like, waiting for the juicy gossip. And nobody's talking. And I'm like, guys, you have to fucking talk. I'm invisible, bitches. I'm invisible. And they go, OOC, which I learned later meant out of character, which means they're actually talking to you like you're a normal human being. So outside of the game, OOC, you know we all know you're here, right? I'm like, oh, I've got the fucking, look. And they go, okay, so let me explain to you what happened, kid. We're all standing here having a conversation. The front door opens and closes by itself, and a cigarette comes out of nowhere and lights itself. And it's now standing near us, smoking itself. So do you understand now? And I'm like, fuck. So my night's ruined. But this story is only an introduction to what really went down at this mansion.
Wow. Yeah, this is the best part.
Yeah.
What happened, Paul?
I left that night thinking I'd never come back. What?
What happened?
I'm gonna tell you.
What happened?
I'm gonna tell you what happened.
Paul, what happened, Paul?
That's what this.
Tell the truth, Paul.
What happened? What happened?
So years later,
Years later.
I've forgotten about this mansion because it was a horrible failure. I didn't get laid. I didn't find anything out. Years later, I get invited to a party. And I'm invited by a girl who I kind of want to fuck. So I'm like, she's like, there's this big party, there's these rich kids, they own this big old house, and we're going to have a big fucking bash. And I'm like, awesome. Party, laid, mansion, I'm in. So I go. And as I'm driving up, of course, I notice it's the fucking vampire house. I immediately have flashbacks of a guy going, oh! And I'm like, fuck me. Not again. So I walk up to this place, and as I'm walking up this long driveway, I had to park way out, in the front yard somewhere. My friend Kevin is sitting on a rock on the path to the house. And I'm like, oh, Kev, what's up, man? He goes, don't go in there. smoking a joint. I'm like, what? He goes, here, hands me the joint. I'm like, sure. Don't go in there. And I'm like, Kevin, I'm going in there. Why shouldn't I go in there? Whatever, you're not going to listen to me anyway. But just remember, I told you. Don't. I said, okay. Passed the joint back, said, have a good night. Oh, you apparently don't like getting laid and drunk, so shoo. I walk in, somebody greets me, says, oh, hey, who are you? And I said, my name's Paul. This person invited me. Oh, yeah, come on in, man. Here, let me take you to the bar. It's one of those houses that has a bar. So I go, and there's a woman working the bar. A very physically fit black woman, very attractive, very nice, and her name was Buffy. I shit you not, her name was Buffy. She was introduced to me as Buffy, and I called her Buffy all night.
It's a little racist, Paul. A little racist, man.
So she asked me, what do you have? And I was 16. So I'd never been asked that before. So I said, I don't know. She said, mudslide. So I said, okay. So she makes me a mudslide. And I drank it, and it's the best fucking thing I've ever drank. She's super nice. She's like introducing me to people who were there playing the guitar. And she's like, hey, come meet Paul. I feel more at home than I've ever felt. And all I can think about is Kevin sitting out there in the front going, he must really hate a good time. So at some point I get the hankering for a cigarette. I was a smoker at this point. So I walk out back and I sit down, and there's this Asian man sitting at the table that I sit at. He's got a laptop in front of him. So I sit down and I have a smoke with him and we talk. We hit it off pretty good. He was a pretty cool cat. And at one point I kind of noticed something though. I'd never seen his right hand. Like, he's got a laptop and he's plinking away, and then he picks a cigarette up out of an ashtray and smokes it. So I'm thinking, well, maybe he's missing a hand. So about an hour goes by, I'm chatting with this fucking guy. And all of a sudden, and this is where the shit hits the fan in the story, if those of you are waiting for it. He pulls his hand up. And I don't know if you've ever seen the Guinness Book of World Records. There's a record in there for longest fingernails. And those of you that have seen the picture know that we're not talking about just long. They get to a certain point and then they just curl.
And it's like brown, too.
And he pulls that shit out on me and just lays it on the table and keeps smoking and talking to me like I'm not gonna fucking notice. And so immediately I'm mad because every experience that I've had up to this point has been positive. Now, the next part of the story people question me about all the time. I have to explain to you, I was 16. If this happened to me now, this would be a totally different story. But at 16, I'm still a virgin. Like, I've never been laid. Like, I'm hoping to have sex with a girl that, invited me. So the shit that started to go down just didn't rub me the correct way. As the guy pulls out the fingernails, I hear a giggle from over my shoulder. I look over at the Olympic-sized swimming pool with a hot tub at the end of it. There are naked people fucking in the hot tub. I note this. I go, oh, okay. I'm gonna go back inside. Where's Buffy? So I go back inside. And that was a horrifying mistake. Things had changed inside. Before I went in, it was this happy place where people were playing guitar and everybody was happy to meet me, and I was drinking free mudslides. When I went back in, it was a fucking sex dungeon. There were people fucking on the couch. There were 3 dudes. There was a big... You guys have, fireplace is something that I say to people like you, and you go, oh yeah, I know a fireplace. No, it's one of those walk-in fireplaces. One of those fireplaces that if you wanted to commit suicide, you could just start a fire and walk in. One of those, and chained to the fucking mantle of that were 3 dudes, butt-ass naked, with their backs to me. A lot of people out there are going, whatever, Paul, I shit you not. I'm not fucking with you. Why would I make something like this up? It doesn't make me look good. No spoiler, the end of the story isn't so Paul fucked his way through the party. No, standing there in bondage gear. And I'm desperately looking for Buffy. I'm like, Buffy, please. You were so nice. The woman turns around, it's Buffy. And I'm like, oh, there's instantly like a softening of my face. I'm like, Buffy. And she looks at me like I'm the most fucking putrid worm she's ever seen. She's like, you want to be up here? Like, referring to the dudes chained to the walk-in fireplace. I was like, no. She's like, then you better stop looking at me. It's like, fuck. So I decide to leave. Now, I'm 16, just got my driver's license. I'm drunk off my fucking ass. I don't drive drunk. It's just, I'm a safe guy like that. I don't do it. But what else am I going to do? So I decide at this point that what I want to do is find the girl that invited me there and see if I can tell her, hey, thanks for the invite. I'm going to take off before Buffy fucks my ass with a strap on. So I go upstairs. Terrible fucking idea. I start walking down like this long hallway of bedrooms, and I open one, and inside is some debaucherous thing. Now, once again, I'm 16. I'd like to have like a 16-year-old hump before I move along to like chain to the fucking fireplace. Everything I look in is just another scene from some horrifying German porn. And then finally I hear this sound, and it's the giggle of the girl that I kind of liked. And I'm like, oh, I hear her. So I go down and I open the fucking door and I hear her laughing. When I open the door, all I see, and I wish it was more explicit for you guys, but I think it kind of is poignant that this is all I saw.
Shut your mouth!
Yeah, what you said.
How's Scotty? How do you shut a mouse?
How do
Shut your mouth!
How do I even respond to that? See you later, bro. I look into this room where I'm hearing the giggle of this woman that I love.
She's fucking a horse. Fucking a horse?
No, but there's just this mass on the bed of like people writhing, and there's a comforter thrown over everything, and there's a leg, and I hear her voice like, oh yeah.
It's a Roman orgy.
And I'm like, okay, I'm fucking out. I'm done.
I thought you came there to fuck her. She's in a fuck pile. You could have joined it.
Yeah,
You could have been in the fuck pile, Paul.
Once again, when people tell me, Paul, that story ain't true, I go, this story doesn't make me look good.
I know. I believe it. I believe your story.
Like, why would I lie about a story that makes me look fucking awful?
Yeah,
because at this age,
multiple times.
At this age, I would have been under that comforter in 15 seconds. I'd be like, yeah, let me in there. Woo! But at 16, I just wanted to have that really awkward, like, two-pump, I wanted to get that out of the way first. I just want my first time to be with 15 other people.
Life out in explicit detail. Dude, Pussy Paul, you could have been in a fucking fuck ball. You could have been like a fire ant in a fucking pile in the store. Paul, fucking in a ball. Yeah, there you go. Paul, fucking in a ball.
I'm glad I wasn't, though. Because,
that could have been your virginity. That's true. This brilliant story that you love so much could have been your I lost my virginity story.
Yeah, that's true.
Sad.
As many times as I've told this story, I've never come to that realization. This could have been, because my virginity story is like 2 seconds long. Literally. Okay, real quick. There was a chick, she was older than me. I was 19. I lost my virginity at 19. They were very young. Yeah. The ladies were all over me in high school.
Fighting over that.
They were. They did. I just couldn't decide. No. There was a woman that deemed me worthy of putting my penis in her vagina. And it happened in my bedroom at my dad's house, and it lasted 2 seconds. That was it. It's true. I'm not going to lie.
Dude, I would have bet you would have been 1 second. So 2 seconds of precedent. You doubled
Scotty's first time was 1 second.
It was, dude. Actually, half a second.
You fucking chump.
Dude, I
lasted 2 seconds, bitch. 50% longer than you.
Scotty, remember that time I walked into you and jerking off the Starship Troopers? You know what, man? Lava bugs are hot. I don't give a shit. I'll tell you when you hear these lava bugs. When you see the bugs shoot the lava at the people, like, I get this emotion. You see the
That's his thing.
So we do like Q&A. Hey, man, don't hate.
Yeah, Yeah, so anyway, that's the end of the story. There's no real punchline to it, but thank you for listening.
Yeah.